beautiful souls, and welcome to another episode of WTF What's Frequency, the show where I like to really talk to my viewers about things that perhaps can't be explained but can do incredible benefit. And I like to mash up things that are a bit spiritual, things that are a bit out there, things that sometimes people call a bit woo-woo, and then I like to bring it back to some serious science. So today I am so excited because I have got an amazing guest. Not only is he a genius, he has an amazing invention. It's Tom Paladino. He's got a Tesla energy lab where he's based in Florida, and he works with over 500,000, yes, I did say that, 500,000 people a day. I just wanted that to register with you, using photographs and his amazing Scalar energy device. This is groundbreaking technology, and his technology is capable of destroying, eradicating thousands of viruses and bacteria. Now, this is a technology that Nikola Tesla was talking about over 100 years ago. This is a technology of the invisible world, which is very often what we talk about on this show. Look, the sunshine has come out as I'm talking about it and is flooding my screen. That is a sign that this is something good and something you need to know about, because Big Pharma have been hiding this from us for a very long time. And it's time to bring it out through a grassroots movement and bring it into the mainstream so that everybody can benefit. So join me in welcoming to WTF, What's the Frequency, Tom Paladino.
Hi, Vanessa. Thanks for the introduction. Pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure to have you on the show. I'm so excited to talk about this type of technology because I like anything that's sort of outside the norm. So just for our viewers, as a starting point, can you tell us how you got interested in this? Because I'm always nosy about, how did you arrive at this? And then we can start talking about the technology.
Well, to answer that question, the legacy of Nikola Tesla lives on. I started to study Tesla as a teenager. I realized his genius. I realized his intellectual prowess. And I said to myself, why are we not following this example? Tesla, the great scientist, why doesn't everybody in the world, every university teach this technology? Well, we realized that he was way ahead of his time. So it was Tesla that fired my imagination. Give credit to Nikola Tesla.
I'm so pleased to hear you say that, because when I discovered his work much later in life, I was of the same opinion. I was like, why aren't we on this? It's the answer to everything. So amazing that you decided to sort of pick up the baton and go against everybody and bring it to the forefront. So before we talk about your technology, can you explain to our viewers what scalar energy is and what it's capable of doing?
Scalar energy is the sun of the sun's energy. It's starlight. It's the natural starlight that we receive every day. Now, why don't we just tap into the sun and the stars to power the universe, to power our homes, to power everything? Why don't we just use this natural light, this natural energy? Why do we have to go to coal or nuclear reactors or wind farms? Tesla saw that. So this energy is universal. Scalar energy is from the sun and the stars. Tesla was able later in his life to capture that energy. It's so simple. You don't need an expensive infrastructure. The infrastructure are the sun and the stars. That's where we're going with this.
That's incredible to just sort of get your head around that, we're busy. I've got my gas boiler on at the moment, gobbling gas up in order to keep me warm in the very cold UK. I'm using electricity, the majority of which will be burning something to produce it, and it's all really negative. And yet 100 years ago, we had all the answers. What happened?
Yeah, we should have listened to Tesla, but Tesla was derided. His reputation was besmirched. Why? Because it was a threat to the economic order. Free energy or inexpensive energy will solve our problems. You're absolutely right, Vanessa, but it would also do away with many of the monopolies. So that was the way it was 100 years ago. It's still that way today.
I was going to say it hasn't changed an awful lot, because if we talk about well-being, which is where we're going to go next, and health, again, we're very controlled by big pharma, by standard science that hasn't expanded that much. I always say this because I think it's so important for people to sort of consider when they're unwell. But when I was very unwell, nobody asked me what was happening in my life, what my emotional state was, whether I was eating, whether I was sleeping. It was just, here's a list of horrible pills that will have horrible side effects and won't actually cure you, but will make you feel less worse, but still be degenerative. Not really a solution, not something I thought, God, you've really got the cure for me. So moving on from this free energy, which we all have a right to, really, don't we? And it's shocking that it's been kept from us, because fuel poverty is such a big thing in every cold climate. So I know you live in Florida, but in the UK, people are literally dying of cold, particularly old people. So I feel it's criminal that for 100 years we've had the solution and we still can't access it. So let's move that on now to what scalar energy can do for well-being.
Okay. Let me first demonstrate. I am in my laboratory. Behind me is a scalar energy instrument. And just a quick experiment. This instrument is now functioning. It's, if you will, this is a Tesla coil that is broadcasting the energy. I'm just going to show the audience. This is the scalar energy instrument. This is custom built. This is essentially Tesla energy. By the way, there's no moving parts. There's no moving parts because with scalar energy, again, you don't create the energy, you harness the energy. That's what I'm doing. Now, with that in mind, this Tesla coil is broadcasting, giving off a great deal of scalar energy. To demonstrate how much energy, if I were to take a fluorescent tube and pass it close to the tower, the Tesla coil, it illuminates under the influence.
Goodness.
Under the influence.
No wires, nothing.
No wires, nothing. Now,
wow.
What I've discovered with this energy, again, it's universal energy, and it can pass through anything, and it can pass through a brick wall. So as an experiment, if I take a culinary board and I place that culinary board close to the instrument, the energy will pass through the culinary board and once again will illuminate the light bulb.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, that's incredible.
So this is an experiment where we're showing that scalar energy, this free energy of the universe, has application. Yes, this will eventually illuminate our world. This eventually will power our cars, our homes. For the time being, I have concentrated on quantum health, which is really energetic health, not in a biochemical sense, but energetic health regarding our aura or our spirit or perhaps our force field. So we're going to speak about health, but not in the traditional sense. We're going to speak about health as far as our energy field, our force field. Everybody has an energy field, a force field.
I'm so delighted to hear you say this, because when people like me talk about aura, or in quantum physics, I think you call it a morphogeneric field, we get called woo-woo. So this is real science, marrying up with the woo-woo. I'm so excited. Sorry, I just had to say that because I'm so happy about this conversation.
I want you to interject, but to make the point clear once again, and thank you, Vanessa, this is a branch of science in which we're not working in a biochemical sense. We're working with the aura, or what a scientist might call a force field or an energy field. Now, working with this instrument, this is really what I like about my work. I don't work with people. Again, this is not electricity. I don't work with people. I work with photographs. This is my photograph. People will send me photographs from around the world, and I can access a person's force field or their aura because their photograph carries that energy signature.
I'm sorry, just wind that back for me a minute. Yeah. So every photograph we have taken of ourselves carries an energy signature. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. I don't care if it's in your photo album or it's in a social media site. A person's photograph is an energy signal. My aura, my energy signal is on my photograph. So in other words, when somebody emails me a photograph, they bilocate to my laboratory. I never
That's
work with,
incredible. That's like Star Trek, isn't it? Through space and time,
yes,
using a photograph.
yes.
Wow.
Some people call that quantum entanglement. Some people call that their quantum version or bilocation. Others will say that's your spirit on the photograph or your aura on the photograph. There's a new language that we have to develop for this new science, but suffice to say, I recognize that there's scalar energy on my photograph, and I can access that scalar energy through a scalar energy instrument. So this is again, a groundbreaking discovery of mine. This is a new science in which we work with force fields on photographs. It's so easy, it's clean, it's simple. You don't need to travel because we overcome time and space. We transcend time and space with your photograph.
That is incredible. I mean, as a healer, I know we can do that because obviously I heal over Zoom and I'm, moving energy across time and space. So I get it. But most people will be thinking, this is crazy. And yet they probably all watch Star Trek and think, isn't that amazing? So when you've got my photograph and you look at it, or rather you look at it in your device, are you able to see what's wrong with me? Say I've got arthritis, or maybe I've picked up COVID or something like that. Would you be able to see it immediately?
The energy will. Now, to be very clear, I believe this energy that I'm working with is consciousness, divine energy. Some people might call that Christ consciousness or chi or prana. So this is, again, not the electromagnetic spectrum. This is another spectrum of energy that all information, the Akashic record, the mind of God is incorporated in this energy. So this is the real key to my work. There's no human reasoning.
I
So
love the fact that you brought up the Akashic records because I use them all the time in healing to find out things about my clients that are keeping them stuck in a pattern of behavior or misery or unhappiness or whatever it is. But for our audience, rather than me explain it, it's always great to have a scientific mind, explain something. What are the Akashic records?
yeah. Well, if scalar light is universal, it is, then it's the universal memory or the universal tracking system of the universal mind. So all activity, all events, past, present, and future, are incorporated in this Akashic record or this mind of God. So there is a supercomputer in the universe, so to speak. It's the mind of God. And I much rather work with this energy in which it does not take programming. The energy is already programmed. It's that should be self-evident. Rather, I let the energy perform the function it needs to perform. I take my human action out of this entire process. So this is not human action, this is divine action. We access the intelligence of the universe, the Akashic record, and in so doing, we have perfect information. We have perfect recall. We have perfect instructions. We've taken human action out of this entire operation. That's why this works. My work is flawless because I work with divine action.
I'm so happy to hear you say that because a lot of people say to me, well, how do I know your healing works? And I say, well, I'm working with the divine. I'm asking for divine assistance. I'm asking for divine cleansing of anything that's, of your energy centers so that you can raise your vibration and become lighter. And it's one of the things my clients always say after a healing session, it's like, how are you feeling? It's really weird, but I feel lighter because good energy is incredibly light, isn't it? Is that your experience? That's how my clients feel about it.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. Bravo. Now, when I work with this light from the sun and the stars, keep in mind it's non-physical, it's divine action. There's no pollution. Hence, there's no toxic shock. There's no chemical overdose. We're not working on the physical plane. We're working on the informational plane. Now, even Tesla said once mankind embraces non-physical science, we'll make great progress. This is the non-physical science that he's speaking of. And as you mentioned earlier, I not only can work with one person a day, I could work with 500,000 photographs a day, or if you will, 5 million photographs a day. So we are transcending time and space. We can send the Akashic record, or we can access the Akashic record of each individual by their photograph without any human interpretation. The divine action takes over. I simply function with this instrument. I turn the instrument on and I let the instrument perform its duty.
That is incredible. And how do you ask for the Akashic Records information, or is that top secret info?
No, I want to share. I want to be transparent with everybody, and I want this to be common knowledge. So keep in mind, when I work with light, light is fundamental. Here's a source of light. This is a photograph of mycoplasma pneumonia. It's a bacterium. Many times it can cause respiratory illness. Now, when I work with this instrument, one of the functions that I've discovered is a photograph can communicate with another photograph. Now watch what I do. I'm going to take these two photographs. This is a magnified photograph of mycoplasma pneumonia, a bacterium that causes respiratory illness. And I can match it up. I can communicate the two Akashic records. The two bodies of knowledge can communicate with one another. I never work with people, and I never work with live biological agents. I work with photographs of bacteria, and I work with photographs of people. When I place these two Akashic records, when I place these two bodies of knowledge inside the instrument, they communicate. And the instrument then will look for mycoplasma pneumonia in me, in my quantum field, and eradicate it, bring it to a state of chaos. So that by working with a photograph, there's no human interpretation. This photograph of mycoplasma is a source of light. My photograph is a source of light. These two sources of light communicate. And in so doing, they will interchange, they'll share information. And this process with this instrument behind me not only will identify the force field, identify the signature of mycoplasma pneumonia, but eradicate it, bring it to a state of chaos. In short, this is the easy way to identify mycoplasma pneumonia and eradicate it.
This is just mind-blowing stuff, really. I mean, it's just, I love it because it's so out there. And I love the fact that, it's not even new. It's 100 years old. And you're bringing it to the fore. This is fantastic. I sadly, lost 11 friends to the AIDS virus. I used to work in the fashion industry in the 1980s when it was particularly prevalent. Would this machine be able to deal with that? And have you got any examples of being able to do that? Because this would be, the answer to everyone's prayers, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, as we say in the United States, this is a home run. And to answer your question, yes. So let me explain. I've worked with HIV/AIDS clinics around the world. We do a lot of that work pro bono. This is one of the HIV/AIDS clinics that we are working with presently. We've worked with this clinic for the past 5 years. This is called Om Prakash, the HIV/AIDS clinic, Om Prakash in Delhi, India. Now, over 5,000 people in this clinic has submitted their photograph to me. To be clear, I've never visited India, so I don't know any of these people. The energy knows these people, and the energy can, if you will, ascertain, diagnose their quantum state. So by sending me their photograph, I have worked with these people, and I've, if you will, communicated the intelligence of HIV virus with each of these individuals. Simply by taking a magnified photograph of human immunodeficiency virus, matching it up, having the two Akashic records communicate. It's all communication. There's nothing untoward about this. It's information. This information field communicates with their photograph, which is an information field. The instrument is designed to pinpoint, to find the signature of HIV in every individual and bring it to a state of chaos. And
So sorry, just for anyone that's not terribly medical or scientific, can you just explain what the signature is and also what a state of chaos means?
Okay.
Just so that everybody's following along the journey.
Okay, if you have a cell phone, your signature is your cell phone number. If you have an email address, that email address per se is how we deliver your email. If there's a particular frequency, electronic frequency, that carries the information. That's a certain information signature frequency. Well, I don't use electricity, so the frequency I use is the signature of each individual. This man in orange has a signature. I have a signature. You have a signature. It's your body code. It's your let's call it your specific Akashic record. Your
So
specific.
it's like a unique blueprint that's
Yes.
unique to me, and you've got your own. We're all
Yes.
completely different, even though we're all connected.
Yeah, it's your unique fingerprint. That's a great way of expressing it. So keep in mind, as this new science unfolds, we're working in non-physical information. The information of HIV can be detected in each individual. And if it's detected, then we eradicate the signal. In other words, if this is an energetic signal, you just flip the polarity, or if you will, you just bring it to a state of chaos. So if this represents the HIV virus, if we bring it to a state of chaos, it ceases to exist. It actually just unbinds or it falls apart. In theory, I believe that's what happens. But working through an energy system, it's all information. So you can either create matter or break down or disassemble matter. What do I think is happening? On this photograph, we identified the signal, the key, if you will, the actual key to everybody is their signal. And we bring that signal to a state of chaos. And that's what we do with the HIV virus.
And for the people that say that's just too good to be true, you couldn't possibly do that, Tom, what proof have you got that this actually works?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a good point. Does it work? I believe it does, because we have 4,000 testimonies on our website. People send us PCR tests, polymerase chain reaction tests, after we work with them by way of their photograph. Here's one of the PCR tests from the clinic, Om Prakash HIV/AIDS clinic. Now, according to this individual, they no longer have a viral load for HIV.
Oh my goodness, that's incredible. So you've got one set of tests that show the viral load, and then after how long are they not showing a viral load?
Usually within 3 to 4 months, they don't show any viral load whatsoever.
My
So
goodness.
that gives us, we have to pause and we have to say to ourselves, why did that happen? Here's another PCR test from Om Prakash. This individual likewise was sent us their photograph, and we worked with this individual after 3 or 4 months. Likewise, they show no viral load for the HIV virus.
Wow, that is incredible. Just incredible. So just off the top of my head, things like bronchitis, which can be a killer, COVID, all these things could be eradicated with your machine.
That's correct. That's correct. As long as I have a photograph, we can identify the signal. Here, I'm going to expand our thinking. I'm going to hold up a photograph of 15 viruses. Now, all of those viruses have a signal, an energy signal, a signature, an energetic blueprint, a fingertip blueprint, a fingerprint. Now, if I place my photograph close to those photographs inside the instrument, now keep in mind the instrument that I have is a scalar energy environment. So we're no longer in an electromagnetic environment. So we're interpreting the 15 signatures of those viruses, and then we identify those signatures in my quantum field and eradicate that signal. So in a short period of time, and actually in a split second, I can ascertain the signal of 15 different viruses in my quantum field and eradicate those signals, eradicate the signature of those viruses. That is non-physical science. This is the morphogenetic field found on every virus, on every person, and you simply have those two morphogenic fields communicate. It's that simple.
My goodness, why why doesn't everybody know about this? This is like the key to ultimate health, isn't it? I mean, if I was a biohacker, let's say, and I'm always trying to stay young and healthy, I mean, this seems like something I need my photograph applied to on a monthly basis to give me ultimate health. I mean, is that what I'd get?
I think we're getting there, Vanessa, and with kind people like you who give us this type of uh, attention, I think we're going to get there. Here's another example. This is a PCR test for herpes. Now, according to this individual, after this individual submitted their photograph, they no longer have a viral load for herpes. Okay? After being infected for 30 years with the herpes virus, herpes, according to this individual, they're asymptomatic and there's no viral load for herpes. So the key to my research right now are testimonies. Now, why do I say that? Nobody has this instrument. Nobody can prove or disprove my work because my work is unprecedented. There are no peer-reviewed papers, to be quite candid. Why? I have no peers. Nobody's duplicated my work. So for the time being...
Sorry, I have to interrupt you there just for a second. You're telling me that you are the only person working in this field when we have got, I live half an hour from Cambridge, university. When we've got these great places of learning, nobody is looking at this apart from you. That's absolutely disgusting.
I don't know of anybody, Vanessa, who's devoted their time and effort to develop these instruments and then develop a process in which you can eradicate the signal of pathogens, viruses, and fungi, prions. So what's the point here? Why am I the only researcher in the world who's advanced this science to this point? Now, I'm very candid about what I can do. I have a public website to that purpose. I'm trying to get this information out there, but I would tell your audience that my research thus far has been suppressed. That's the word I'll use. And I'll let your audience fill in the blanks.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was talking to somebody else the other day about a frequency machine that can eradicate addiction. So it can really speed up recovery, from cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, heroin, cocaine, the lot. But we were talking and he said, you must be very careful when you discuss that. We discussed this on the episode, because if we were to say cure, if we were to say this, I'd have black SUVs turn up and I'd be taken away and never see the light of day again. And isn't it terrifying that we have a fear of bringing things that could really change the world, change the health of people that really need it? Because one of the things I was appalled by when I was in America was literally, if you haven't got healthcare and you have a heart attack, the ambulance won't pick you up. If you're poor, you stay ill in America, don't you? And this, your desire to get this out and to help people is incredible. What is your vision going forward? And how can we all get on board and help you? Because this is too good to keep quiet.
Thank you, Vanessa. It's all grassroots, to be clear with you. I'm not going to align myself with big business and big government. It's grassroots. So I think the best way is for people to send in their photograph and for people to experience these sessions. To that end, we offer 15 days of free sessions to anybody in the world. All we need is your emailed photograph. You can include your family with their permission. People have to experience this. I don't expect people to understand this. This has never been accomplished before. I originated this protocol. So I have to explain it, and then people have to experience this protocol. That's what I'm trying to impart. Visit my website, upload your photograph. You can send your pets in also. And I want people then to start talking about this. I want a grassroots movement to develop. With that backbone of grassroots of people, we will succeed. Now, keep in mind, I don't want any corruption in this healing ministry. This is unique, so we can work with people anywhere in the world by way of their morphogenic field, their photograph, and in so doing, let the people speak. Let the people bring forward the technology.
Well, you heard it here, audience. We all sadly know sick people that are suffering. And Tom's just given you a route to testing out his technology and seeing the results for yourself. I mean, one of the things I get quite cross about, Tom, is the fact that people say, but I need to know how it works, you know. And yeah, they say that to me, and I have to say, well, I don't really know how it works. It's greater than me. It's a divine power. It's a divine intelligence that helps me do my work, that helps me cure people with anxiety and depression. What do you say to those people? Because I often say, when particularly I'm talking about quantum technology, well, if you're not a quantum scientist, if I was to show you all the algebraic equations, all the diagrams, you'd be none the wiser anyway. Why don't you just try it? And if it works, talk about it. Do we need to know why? Do you know exactly what happens when you turn the ignition in your car? Are you a mechanic? No, you're not. So what do you say to them?
I appreciate people being curious. That's fine. Now, this is a new science. It's so new, it's not taught by academia. You won't find a college class on scalar physics, on Tesla physics, because it's suppressed. However, Tesla was experimenting with this successfully over 100 years ago. So I would suggest people, if you really want to delve into this, read about Nikola Tesla and read about his accomplishments. When you're working with an instrument, there's no chicanery. You cannot fool science. I follow the laws of science. Tesla followed the laws of science. The laws of science are immutable. My work is flawless. Tesla's work was flawless because we work with the laws of science. So if people want to understand why and how this works, well, it's the laws of science. Once again, you cannot change the laws of science. If you want to understand furthermore how I've done this, read my website. I've written hundreds of articles regarding scalar energy research.
I like that. And I'm going to start putting them out on my website. I'm going to start blogging about it. And I'm going to start putting it out on my social media because I've always loved everything about Tesla. The fact that it stretches your mind to think in a completely different way about everything that surrounds you and what you've got access to. And I think particularly in these days when everything is so heavy and where disease is so commonplace now, particularly bacterial disease and viral diseases, that you're shining a light of hope to so many people, and you're giving them the opportunity to try your product for free for 15 days. What would be I mean, I'm thinking already off the top of my head that I'm going to reach out to groups of people I know that have AIDS, that addiction, very often the two come hand in hand. Would it be really useful for you to have groups of people with particular afflictions that then we could do group tests and get you that? I mean, you've got 4,000 testimonies, but I know that if you want to go up against Big Pharma, we've got to get into the millions, haven't we, really?
We do. And the more the merrier. Now you can understand my posture of going grassroots. If you have millions of people who send me their photograph and those people say, I feel better, there's no untoward side effect. There can't be a side effect because we don't work with chemicals. You cannot have a side effect from information. So what's the point? Bring everybody on, Vanessa. Mention this to everybody in Europe.
I will. I'm going to, believe me, I'm going to be on it. I'm not known for, keeping quiet on things. In fact, quite the opposite. But just so that the audience is really clear, can you just say that everybody realizes that it is for them? Can you give us a sort of rundown of, bacterial diseases and viruses that could be cured by this? Because I don't want anyone to miss out,
Okay. We won't use the word cure because that begs a definition. But let's
we
say
don't want the black SUVs either, do we? Well, drastically improve.
for instance, I'm going to hold up. These are photographs of hepatitis A, B, C, D, E. Hepatitis. So this photograph of hepatitis has energy, and we can identify that energy signal in a person, so we can eradicate the 5 hepatitis viruses. Wow. Now, Furthermore, how many photographs do I have? Over 400,000 photographs of viruses, bacteria, fungi, prions, mold, protozoan, parasites. So in 1 hour, I can have my instrument look at those 400,000 photographs. Keep in mind, I don't work biologically, I work with photographic signals. So I have 400,000 species of pathogens. My instrument looks at those 400,000 species, their energy field only, and can bring that energy field to a state of chaos. So the common, if you will, bacteria, fungi, viruses, protozoans, we can bring to a state of chaos.
That is incredible. Now, Tom, we spoke about this off camera, but as you know, I live very near Newmarket, the International Centre of Flat Racing. And around this time of year, particularly as the new horses, the babies, come into the yards, we generally have a terrible outbreak of ringworm, which generally involves lots of misting the stables with horrible chemicals, painting the stables with horrible paints, and injecting the horses, while giving them various medicines, which I suspect aren't based in nature. So if I was to send you images of all the horses in a yard with ringworm, would you be able to sort that out?
Yes, yes, we can. Yes, we can. I've had good success with ringworm. Many people, even people obviously, can come down with ringworm. Uh, it's a fungal infection by all means. I've worked with plants, I've worked with animals. Sometimes people have even gone as far as to send me photographs of kangaroos from Australia. I've
Well,
worked
what
with,
was wrong with them? I'm dying to know. What was wrong with the kangaroos?
they had a bacterial infection. And after 1 month of working with this kangaroo through the photograph, the person in Australia reported that the kangaroo returned to health. Now, the point is this: if scalar energy can pass through a brick wall, then it can be used anywhere, and it can pass through the Earth. It could pass through our galaxy. So nothing impedes this energy. All I need is a photograph, because everything is a morphogenic field. Everything is an Akashic record. There's no boundary to the Akashic record.
Incredible. This has just blown my mind. I mean, it's not very often that I'm left speechless, but as you're speaking, I'm thinking, you've just sent my mind into an absolute whirl. So, in terms of the really big picture, what would you like to see? Would you like to see more of your machines everywhere? I mean, obviously, you're going to be inundated with people sending you photographs, rather. But, in terms of the really, really big picture, if you could put scalar energy into the world and into everybody's homes, what would that actually look like? What would the next development be?
I think the next domino that needs to fall is awareness. I need help getting the message out. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Thank you. Awareness. And then eventually, by the way, my computer uploader is computerized. 24 hours a day, you can send us photographs. If we start receiving 500,000 photographs a day, then it's caught on. So then we can take it to the next step and have people around the world in major cities who go around and take photographs of people. I would love to see, if you will, a grassroots effort in each major metropolitan area taking photographs of people, or at least educating people. Now, bear in mind, I'm one man. I work in this one location, and I don't have the means to set up group meetings. I don't have the means to set up an infrastructure like that right now. I don't have the funds. So step number one is awareness, global awareness. Once the world gets on board, and once the world realizes that they feel better, then we move to the next step, and we'll eventually work with 1 billion photographs a year. That's my prediction.
Wow, 1 billion photographs a day. Well, you heard it here, audience. If you're an influencer, if you're just somebody that's got loads of contacts, if you're anyone with a massive black book or loads of contents on your phone, I'm calling on you. Let's get on it. Let's spread the word, because unfortunately, we all know people that are suffering and are unwell. And this is the answer to everyone's prayers. It's free, for goodness sake, 15 days free trial. It doesn't get much better than that. And when it works for you, what we want is a testimonial. And we want you to talk about it in an unafraid way, because we're all connected as part of our consciousness. And when one of us gets better, we all get better. And if we can raise our vibration of health, then we are just going to be unstoppable in the best possible way. And we're not going to be harmed by chemicals that will, as I said at the beginning of this show, possibly make you less worse, but certainly won't make you better. So, Tom, what are your, and sadly, we're coming to the end of our time together, and I could talk to you all day, but as a last sort of comment or top tips to our viewers, what would you like to say?
If we look at invention, we look at discovery, this is what has advanced mankind. Now, imagine if you don't have any discovery, any technology. Well, you're going to be living in a cave. So as time moves on, we have advancements. This is, if you will, scalar energy will greatly impact and if you will, change our social order for the better. Welcome this improvement. Welcome this technology. Tesla tried to introduce it. Vanessa and I are trying to introduce it today. Let's get a grassroots movement going. I predict the people will do it. I predict the global population will come around.
Well, I'm right there with you, because I have found this fascinating. It's something that I feel is criminal that we've been deprived of for 100 years. I absolutely applaud you, your investment, your time, your education in bringing this into the world as a product that can actually cure people, not just one at a time, but in their millions. So, Tom Paladino, I can't thank you enough for sharing your time, your expertise, and your wisdom with us. And rest assured that I am going to be shouting this from the rooftops. Lovely audience, thank you so much for joining us again. I hope you're going to get on board with me with this. You can find all Tom's details just before we close the show. And please send your photographs in. And when you get those amazing results, do shout from the rooftops. This is your chance to be a bit anarchistic. It's a big chance to be a little bit different. And it's a chance to make enormous change for all of mankind. So, Tom Paladino, thank you so much for joining us.
God bless you. Thank you.